Hi everyone and welcome, this is the Apostate Prophet. I hope you're having a great day. In recent years, the term Caliphate has been used a lot in connection with the Islamic State, which is an Islamic terrorist organization that seeks to establish an Islamic empire and dominate the world. ISIS claimed that they had established an Islamic Caliphate, and that they would unite the world's Muslims under this Islamic Caliphate. Many people think this is something extreme, something unusual, but actually it's not. The term and concept caliphate is important to further understand the political and imperialist nature of Islam, and to understand that Islam is not just a personal religion between the believer and God, and to understand that Islam is not a religion of peace, which is a huge surprise. Many Muslims today wish to one day see a caliphate and believe that a rightful caliphate will rise in their lifetime. I know Muslims who are in their 60s still believing that. Some don't want to wait that long, so they just get up, go and die a terrible death in Syria, which is of course so unfortunate. So let's talk about what a caliphate actually is. In history, the caliphate was always at the center of Islam as a political entity and a world power. Both Christians and Muslims fought wars in the name of religion and ruled in the name of religion in history. But there is a major difference between how Christianity was ruled and how Islam ruled. With Christianity, we had numerous little entities, duchies, kingdoms, empires. Although most of the Catholic rulers listened to the Catholic Church in interfaith matters and internal religious concerns, they were otherwise meant to be independent and would legitimately deal with each other as allies, enemies, or neutrals, or subjects and rulers. The Orthodox were even more independent than that, and Protestantism after it emerged much more. The same is not true for Islam. Islam had a caliphate, and the caliphate was the global ruler of Islam and held the vast lands of the Muslims together as one entity. Well, at least it was supposed to be that way. While bragging about their loyalty and unity, Muslims kept fighting each other from the very beginning, so that was a bit difficult in practice. A caliphate is the Islamic State, led by a caliph or caliph. I will say caliph because caliph sounds disgusting to my ears. I'm sorry. The caliph is not only the head of the state, he is considered the head of the religion, the political leader, and the commander of the Muslim armies. The leader of the entire ummah, the Muslim community. He is the head of the religion, the state, the military, and everything. This is why Christian lands looked like this, while Islamic empires looked like this. The head of the religion is the head of the Islamic empire, which is supposed to be one nation, one entity. It was this caliph's duty to glorify Islam and uphold the laws of Islam, to rule with Islam over all Muslims, and to expand Islam by the sword to the world. With this system, Islamic caliphates kept conquering and conquering throughout the 1400 years. It was the goal of the caliphates to keep going in conquest until the entire world submitted to Allah and united under one rule. Islam is globalist, but definitely not in an inclusive and progressive way. The Muslim community, Muslims, are called the Ummah. Ummah means something like nation, community. Muslims are supposed to be one nation, united by their religion, and the caliphate is supposed to rule over all of them. That is how Muhammad did it, and that is how the caliphates in history did it. Caliph or Khalifa, which is the Arabic word Khalifa, which has nothing to do with porn, so please YouTube ignore this, stands for successor. In Islamic history, it has been used as successor of Allah's messenger, or just successor appointed by Allah of Allah's message. This is based on Quran chapter 24 verse 55, which reads, Allah has promised those of you who believe and do righteous deeds that He will surely make you successors in the land, just as He granted it to those before them, and that He will surely establish for them their religion, which He has preferred for them, and that He will give them safety after their fear. They worship Me and associate nothing with Me, but whoever disbelieves after that, those are the transgressors. From this verse, Muslims understood that rulers should rule on the earth, appointed by Allah for Allah, and that complete obedience to their rule is required. Muhammad led by example, since he ruled over the people and was the head of the people and the head of the religion, and the commander of the armies. Those caliphs who took over after he died were the successors of his empty position. According to Muhammad, Muslims were to show complete obedience to their ruler, whether they like it or not, except if they are ordered to commit a sin, an act contrary to the teachings of Islam. Historically, it is therefore ruled in all Muslim schools that Muslims must have a caliph and that everybody must obey the caliph. Rejecting the caliph and disobeying him is an act of rebellion. Shia Muslims have a different system with imams, but that's an entirely different topic. It is therefore that ISIS declared that they had raised a rightful caliphate, and that it was the obligation of every Muslim to pledge allegiance to this caliphate, and that those who reject this caliphate were rebellious dissenters who aid the evil West. Gladly, most Muslims around the world care about their lives nowadays, and are not like ISIS anymore, or not like Muhammad. I cited this in the past, and I find the following one of the best summaries of what Islamic jihad is, and what the caliphate's role in that is. I also find it great that our source is Ibn Khaldun, who is not only recognized in the Muslim world as a giant intellectual, but also internationally recognized as a forerunner of sociology. Ibn Khaldun, in his book Muqaddimah, describes the role of the caliph, the commander of the faithful. He compares the system to that of the Catholics, Orthodox, and Jews, and points out that Islam is distinct in its expansionism. Ibn Khaldun explains, in the Muslim community, the holy war is a religious duty because of the universalism of the Muslim mission and the obligation to convert everybody to Islam, either by persuasion or by force. Therefore, caliphate and royal authority are united in Islam, so that the person in charge can devote the available strength to both of them at the same time. The other religious groups did not have a universal mission, and the holy war was not a religious duty to them, save only for purposes of defense. It has thus come about that the person in charge of religious affairs in other religious groups is not concerned with power politics at all. Among them, royal authority comes to those who have it by accident, and in some way that has nothing to do with religion. It comes to them as the necessary result of group feeling, which by its very nature seeks to obtain royal authority, as we have mentioned before, and not because they are under obligation to gain power over other nations, as is the case with Islam. They are merely required to establish their religion among their own people. He confirms what I said earlier, that in Islam the head of religion is also the head of the army and responsible for conquering the world. See, Ibn Khaldun is aware of history, and he knows that Christians, Catholic Christians, have here and there declared wars in the name of Christianity, that they have conquered and converted pagans to Christianity. He nevertheless explains that that is not a requirement of their religion, while in Islam it is. That's the difference between how Islam is naturally a military force, while Christianity is just the religion that military forces happen to believe in. I think this should make everyone understand that in Islam, the head of the religion is not like the Pope, someone whom the people can turn to for religious matters, or in some historical cases go and consult for the defense of the Christian world. In Islam, the head of the religion is the ruler of the world, and obedience to him is not only obligatory to Muslims, all the others also have to fear him. Therefore, when you hear religious Muslims say that the Islamic world needs to unite again, and that a caliphate will hopefully rise again, this shouldn't be taken lightly, because this is not a plea for peace and hope. It is a wish to dominate, to overthrow, to rule, to spread, to be powerful. And that is no accident. In Islam, toward the end of the world, Muslims are supposed to fight the world. More to that quite soon. Muhammad, who started all of this as a peaceful religion, established Islam as a religion of war and conquest after he seized more and more power. In front of the Islamic world, there were the Christian Roman Empire and the Zoroastrian Persian Empire. He wanted to raise the Islamic Arab Empire, and he did. Islam spread into Europe by war, and that was no accident. That was not a strict interpretation of Islam, not an extreme version of Islam. That was Islam. Oh, to the history of the Caliphate. At some point, the Turkish Ottomans took it and led it for several centuries, until a certain Turkish man came, thought that Islamic rule was very backward, and abolished the primitive Caliphate system, gladly. I will definitely come to how and why that happened. Maybe that should be the next topic. For now, thanks for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like, to subscribe and to share. Most of my videos are not monetized, so you can watch them without ads. If you want to support me at my work, you can support me on Patreon or on apostateprophet.com. The links are below in the description. Thank you all so much for your help. I'll be back very soon. Until then, have a great day and stay away from Islam.